is a curious thing. Time can be exact. Time can be imprecise. Time can be slow for some and faster for others. Time exists in the mind, and it exists in the universe. And according to some theories, one day time may even come to a halt. So let's find out how, why, and when in our video which seeks to answer the question, will time end? We think of time as something which exists universally and which is experienced by everyone and everything in the same way. But that's not true, as time dilation shows us. According to special relativity, the faster you go, the slower time moves. Time dilation tells us that two objects moving at different speeds will experience time differently, and this was proven during the Hay-Phila-Keating experiment in 1971, when ultra-precise atomic clocks were taken on board commercial airliners and flown around the world. When the times on these clocks were compared to an identical pair left on the ground, they showed that more time had elapsed for those on the ground than the ones left in the planes. A similar effect occurred when astronaut Scott Kelly was sent into space while his twin brother Mark remained on Earth. Mark was already the slightly older sibling, but upon Scott's return, the gap between them in age had stretched, albeit by as little as 8.6 milliseconds. But however small the effect, this still demonstrates the incredible possibilities of time and how it works differently throughout the universe, depending on what you're doing and how fast you're moving. It means that two individual people, or even millions and billions of people, can conceivably experience time at vastly differing speeds. Especially if one of them is lingering around a black hole, where time is known to slow down almost to an end. And if you could somehow move at the speed of light, time would pretty much end too. But that's where things get interesting. Because as we said before, if something can be slowed, surely it can be stopped. Is there a large enough black hole or other powerful object somewhere in the universe that could bring time to a complete standstill? Who knows? Because we sure wouldn't if we were being influenced by one. As if right now, a giant invisible force influencing Earth started slowing down time to a trickle. Tomorrow wouldn't feel any different. Current estimates peg the age of our universe at around 14 billion years old. But according to some physicists, we may not make it out of our teens, as they believe time could grind to a halt 5 billion years from now, or 3 billion years from now, or in 1 second. Theoretically, time could have ended at any point during this video, or at any point in history for that matter. And how have these physicists worked this out? Well, it has something to do with the origins of our universe and the concept of infinity. This prediction is based on the idea of eternal inflation, which describes our universe as one of an infinite number of universes containing an infinite amount of space-time, each of which is capable of spawning its own universes, and so on and so forth. If we do exist within a multiverse reality, then everything you do, every event that has ever occurred, can and will happen. But this causes a problem when you're trying to work out the probability of something. Today, the average American stands a 1 in 430,000 chance of dying while getting out of bed, a 1 in 1.6 million chance of being hit by a meteorite. But if the multiverse theory is true, your chances of all these things occurring to you or another you on a different multiverse level are 1 out of 1, dead certain. So what does this have to do with time? Well, to make calculating probabilities a little easier, physicists have come up with a mathematical approach called geometric cutoffs. These cutoffs split the multiverse into different sections and remove infinity from the equation, helping us to calculate probabilities based on that one particular sample. But when these mathematical cutoffs are used to reduce time to a potential finite thing, we can calculate the probability of certain universe-ending events happening with more accuracy. And in the 5 scenarios calculated using this approach, time had a definite ending in each and every one of them. You've heard of the Big Bang, but what about the Big Crunch? The Big Crunch is a theoretical ending to the universe whereby everything that ever was and ever has been coalesces into one final singularity. According to physics, ceases to exist. To get there, the universe would undergo a gradual process that takes place over tens of billions of years. Just like the expansion of the Big Bang, except in reverse, during which time may even move backwards. And what's crazy is that we may not even know that time was reversing, because our perception of it would simply not change. We could be going in reverse right now, and some people believe we already are, and that the universe is currently on a backwards collision course heading straight towards the Big Crunch and the end of time. However, this wouldn't be the end of all time, as it is also believed that another Big Bang would occur shortly after the Big Crunch has finished destroying the concept of personal space forever. This model sees our universe as a bubble that constantly grows and shrinks. It describes universes of time and space as things which blink in and out of existence. So while according to this theory, time certainly would end at some point, it wouldn't necessarily be the end. Time requires consciousness. Robert Lanza believes that consciousness is fundamental to the concept of time, and that without conscious beings, time simply stops existing. I guess it's similar to the old thought experiment, which asks, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? If nobody's there to perceive it, does an event happen? Is perception the fundamental driver of all things, even the things we cannot control? This idea requires us to evaluate the exact wording of our question, because what do we mean by an end? Do we mean a permanent end, or a temporary one? Soccer matches end, but that doesn't mean all soccer is finished forever. Relationships end, but that doesn't mean you can never date again. Unless it's a really messy breakup and you've buried your lover in a shallow grave outside a kindergarten. And furthermore, just because one event ends, it does not necessarily mean every other event ends as well. What if, when time finally ends, whether it's limited to a human's perception or the actual death of the universe, what if it simply does so to allow new time to begin? Or perhaps no more time will come, and something new and bizarre will take its place, like flare guns or titty clams.